Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we're taking a look at Creature Commandos, a brand new animated DC show by James Gunn. Creature Commandos is the first project set in the new DCU, which this very year will debut their first movie, Superman, also written and directed by James Gunn. After the events of the Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller is forbidden from using humans for her missions, so instead assembles Task Force M, a team of monsters which is set up with Nina, the Bride, G.I. Robot, Dr. Phosphorus, and Weasel. Rick Flag Sr., the father of Rick Flag. They're on a mission to stop Cersei, an Amazonian who has plans of taking out the Princess of Pokalsistan, however the fuck you pronounce that, as she states that it will start World War III. So, I love James Gunn, right? He has directed some of the best comic book movies within the last, decade. He's done the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, which I fucking love, and I really liked the Suicide Squad. And Creature Commandos was a show that, if I'm gonna be honest, wasn't really on my radar because of Superman. I feel like that overshadowed it, but um, it's a good show. It's a really, really good show, but I feel as if something was missing, and I still don't know how to describe that. The show mainly tells us the stories of each of the commandos. Each episode kind of focusing on a different backstory, but I'll get to that. And they do some actually great stuff with it, but in terms of the main overall story of the season, I I can't really put my finger on it. The show works for the most part that it sets up the commandos, right? And all these characters are fucking fantastic in some way. However, that crude James Gunn writing style, that ensemble style that he does gets old after a bit. It's not bad for sure. I definitely think it still works. I'm just excited for Superman. Are you fucking kidding me? Um, I'm excited for Superman to see what different he could do. He he is just he's not just an immature writer. He's great at punching you in the face for both asking if Robert Pattinson's Batman will be part of the DCU. We'll talk about that for the 100th time. And but he's great at punching you in the face with emotions. When he gets when he writes emotional stuff, it really does. It's great. He made us feel bad about a shark. He made us feel bad about a starfish and rats and a little raccoon guy. He's great at this kind of stuff, and it makes me all the more excited to see what he's gonna do with Superman. That fucking John Kent scene that we saw in the trailer where Clark is wrapping his arm around John Kent. Oh man. I just know that's gonna fucking hit me like a truck. The animation for Creature Commandos is also really great. It is sort of that usual DC animation style, but here it's stylized a bit. It doesn't feel generic, it has a much more vibrant look to it. The way the colors uh, pop, and it's a really good looking show. The animation and fight scenes and action, they're all great. I just wished this is sort of an issue I have with Arcane, and it's not an issue with the show, but an issue with the software. Is the service that it's on. You have some of the best, most beautiful looking animation known to man here, and you're not gonna offer it on 4K. Okay, that's just a little side rant, kind of going into Arcane there. Season 2, I just watched Season 2, and that's a video I do want to make about Arcane Season 2, because I have something to say, but wow, the animation is so beautiful. But you're preventing that show from truly exploding. you're preventing that show from showing the best that it could be by locking it being 4K behind a fucking $20 paywall. What? And the show still looked great even though, but 4K makes a difference. I mean, like fucking hell. Where is it? Is this it? No, this is it. Blade Runner on 4K. I have a 4K player like right next to my camera here. It makes a difference. Watch the "You Look Lonely" scene on YouTube and watch the "You Look Lonely" scene here. There is a massive difference between that, and this case feels flimsier though. That's just a little minor complaint though. Nothing wrong with the show. It's just, come on, Max. I know you offer shit on 4K. Um, how else do I really describe it? This show, the characters are great. They just feel character. You know, they have depth. They feel like real people, even though they're monsters. They have complex emotions and times to shine, especially since we focus so much on their backstories, which are all tragic. And like the most evil bastard on the team, Dr. Phosphorus, has quite a tragic backstory, which I'll dive into all that stuff and spoilers later. My biggest complaint is the Rick Flag side of the story honestly didn't feel as fleshed out. Cersei as a villain disappears midway through the show, and I feel like they just didn't utilize her well enough. And I am kind of worried about the Amazon stuff for um the DCU. We don't have any Wonder Woman projects like announced, which I understand why, because of the reputation that was Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. So he's probably waiting a little bit before he does that. We do have that Paradise Lost show, which we know nothing of. And the way that Cersei was treated in this show, I just I feel is I'm a bit worried on how the Amazon stuff is going to be handled. I don't think Gunn is going to be the best at that. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize him here or anything, but I definitely think that you get what I'm saying, right? I feel a bit concerned for how the Amazon stuff is going to be handled, because so far Cersei really wasn't handled that well, honestly. Um, and Rick Flag's relationship with the princess just feels so stiff, honestly. I wish that that side of the story got more of a focus, right? It was more so, god damn, what the fuck is going on out there? There's not even there's not a lot. That can't be a lawnmower, because there's no whatever. As I was saying, the Rick Flag stuff, it was good. It wasn't bad, but I just didn't really feel that engaged compared to the character backstories. You know, the humor, it's not as funny as some of the other shows. Honestly, I think maybe the fact it's animated kind of has to do with that. I feel I just laugh a lot more during the live action projects, probably because of the physical acting. You know, it does have some of that immature writing that James Gunn is known for, and it repeats the same tone of Suicide Squad. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention this. This is a new phone, so I heavily apologize if the camera quality is like shit. I don't fucking like this phone at all. It fucking sucks. But back to what I was saying, it repeats the same tone from Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and I understand why this show came out the when it did. I just don't really think this is the best first project for the DCU. And again, I feel like I have to restate this. I did like the show. I did like the show, and it's not even like, oh, why does the show need to exist? I just feel like this could have come out maybe at like a different time, maybe after Superman, because I think this is going to tell general audiences that, oh, we have an a guy who has skeletons flipping people off and all this sexual stuff running DC when like I feel like this shows Creature Commandos I think shows the worst parts of Gunn's writing, which aren't horrible, right? But I definitely think it shows some of the weakest parts of his style. So having this be the first project in a whole new universe, um, I don't know. That like you get what I'm saying, right? And again, I have to restate it. I love James Gunn. I think he can do some great shit. I mean, look at the Guardians trilogy and the Suicide Squad, which is like this. I just think the Suicide Squad was a better movie because we took the time to really sit there. There's a Bloodsport and Ratcatcher who sit there and talk about like why he doesn't like rats and why rats mean so much to Ratcatcher. And I mean, there's even that scene of King Shark looking at all the like little octopus guys. He's like, "Me friend," and stuff like that really shines. And I'm not too sure if James Gunn works for animation or not. And again, I'm not a Snyder fan. I'm actually quite like this is such a big topic within DC discussions. Hold on, let me this is such like a big um discussion with DC now is the whole Snyder versus Gunn thing, which I think is just blatantly fucking stupid. I love James Gunn and I 100% trust him with this universe. I just think this show should have come out after Superman. And the positives I can look for in Creature Commandos with feeling as if the writing is repetitive. That like the emotional stuff. Like this guy made me feel bad for a Nazi killing robot, which I shouldn't have said. A robot. He made me feel bad for a robot. He made me feel bad for someone fucking evil. He made me feel bad for that funny weasel character who went like he made me feel really fucking bad for that guy. So imagine what he can do with Superman. One of like goddamn, I'm so excited for that movie. It's like that movie for what we know is not focused so much on comedy. It's much more focused on emotion and being that. And again, that scene with John Kent, I'm excited for that. He feels and just what we hear of him, it feels like he understands Superman. He can punch you with emotions, and it worked out. I almost bawled my eyes out during Guardians 3. Imagine if Pa Kent died in Superman. Imagine if that scene had the same impact as Yondu's death in Volume 2. And it's stuff like that that still shows that Gunn is a great writer. Even with his weakest project being Creature Commandos, I mean, it's still a good show. How and the villains again, they're whatever. They don't get too much to do. Cersei disappears midway through the series, and I really dislike that. Clayface is also in the show, but he doesn't really do much. I mean, he's there as a like, oh, that's why this happened. This show is renewed for season 2 though, and I'm excited to see where things were going. Creature Commandos was good, slightly edging towards great. And it feels a bit underdeveloped. It feels a bit rushed. I think longer episodes would have definitely benefited the series a lot more. Or something I say with every fucking TV show now, more than 8 episodes. Come on, come on. We lived in a society where Gotham, a live action show that ran on Fox, had 22 episodes per fucking season, right? What happened to television? Why do we have to only have 8 episodes and then whatever? And the animation is stellar. And when things get good, they get great, and it's an exciting future for DC. Creature Commandos does give us glimpses at like heroes like Superman. We got our first official on-screen look for Superman here. We got to see Starfire, and we got to see a certain other character who I'll talk about later. It's just the weakest gun project so far, but if your weakest project is simply just good, then hey, you're great. And the repeated writing, the repeated tone of the series, it just makes me more excited for Superman because I know he can do something special with that. Creature Commandos gets a B. So now let's dive into some spoilers here, and you know what? This is something I should probably do. Text. There we go. Now we're in spoiler territory. So, um, let's talk about the episodes here because I wanted to kind of talk about how I felt. And like I mentioned, all the characters were great and had some really tragic backstories. The bride had her lover killed by Frankenstein, who I forgot to mention is also a part of the show and kind of feels pointless. Like throughout the entire show, Frankenstein is hunting down the bride, and he's funny. I actually think he's one of the funniest characters in the show. But he kind of just he doesn't really have a. I feel like if you removed him, he wouldn't have added much to the story. Um, GI Robot's backstory I really liked. Throughout the 3 episodes he's in, he just wants to kill Nazis, and that's great. I love that. His war buddies are no longer with him, but at least he went out shooting what he believed to be Nazis. I really liked GI Robot. He was such a fun little character. Weasel's episode. This is my favorite one because we actually get to see what actually happened. If you remember in the Suicide Squad, Rick Flag said, "Yeah, I think he murdered like 27 children. We don't know. He's not really doing anything." We actually do get to see why he was captured, and it was not even that he murdered children. He found a school, a playground full of kids. They were fascinated by him, and he became their friends. But tragedy struck out because people thought that he was attacking them. All the kids died, and he was blamed for it, despite the fact he was actually trying to save them. And Sean Gunn, man, look, I know we have our issues with him playing every character James Gunn has done. I don't really have an issue with that. I mean, directors always cast their best friends. Have you ever seen a fucking Adam Sandler movie? I mean, Kevin James and Chris Rock always play characters in those movies. But what he does a great job at being a weasel. Like the noises he makes, like, damn, I felt bad for this thing. And then that little comment Bride, I think, makes about it, like he's probably dreaming about chasing squirrels. That's sad. And I like how they make that little girl who was the closest to Weasel look exactly like the princess. It actually causes conflict in the final episode where Weasel just wants to go to her because she reminds him of this little girl that he loved and he liked a lot back then. And they're like, no, we need to kill the princess. It's a great episode. I think it's the best episode in the series because I just liked Weasel as a character. Frankenstein's episode was whatever. Again, he's not the most interesting character. He's funny, but I feel like they could have gone more with that whole he is a terrible person shtick. Um, he killed. It's not really much. I wasn't a fan of Frankenstein's episode, but Phosphorus's episode was something else. I really liked this one. Probably take a guess why. But again, even though he is one of the most like evil bastards in the show, his backstory is fucking horrifying. His family was killed and he was pinned for it before being atomized and, Doctor Manhattan. Um, Thorn, who is voiced by Dutch, and yeah, and that dance scene was really fun. I really liked it, but fucking Batman. Let's talk about it, okay? I can't resist it. I don't want to grab him. Let's talk about Batman here, okay? This is our first official look at Batman in the DCU, and it's not much. Let me drink. Hold on. It's pretty obvious why we don't really get to see that much of him. They're not locking onto a design yet. Um, so kind of they have him in silhouette, so it's like, okay, we could we can have more time to work out his design there. And yeah, he's out there. Batman's here. Fucking, I love the entrance, by the way. Batman being struck by lightning. Damn, I always love that. Right? And a little rant about Snyder fans here. Snyder did not invent the concept of Batman being struck by lightning. When I word it like the, it's like Batman's just standing on the gargoyle. Lightning strikes him, and then he just fucking falls down. It's Gordon smoking his crack pipe. Ah, shit. Batman just died. Like Joker gets the call. What? The Batman dead? Oh, without crime. Oh, without Batman, crime has no punchline. And then, like, you get what I'm saying, right? But yeah, that visual has been very common. I love it. I might make that my fucking profile picture, honestly. That visual of Batman being struck by lightning. I'm just excited to see him. And I know that we're already kind of speculating on, ooh, what's he gonna look like? Oh, is he gonna have trunks? Is he gonna have the short ears, the white eyes? Which I think, let's not jump the gun on the white eyes yet. That's just Batman in animation. I would love to see how they could do the white eyes in live action if done properly, right? The way they did it in Deadpool and Wolverine for Wolverine, I think could work. Or I think Snyder did it the best with the uh armored suit, surprisingly. And yeah, I love how Phosphorus being able to like melt people and just he like as evil as he is, as powerful as he is fucking scared of looking up and seeing Batman. That is a great introduction. We just have to wait a long time to see him. Let's talk about this. I don't want Pattinson in the DCU. I know him hold on. No, I don't have a figure of Corn Sweat. My bad. There's none of those yet. I was gonna for context on what I was doing. I have this Superman figure here. Um, that I was gonna grab my Pattinson figure, but I realized that's not Corn Sweat. That's just a Superman. Um, but I know him and I know Robin's Pattinson and Corn Sweat look great together. I just feel like that world wouldn't fit. Just have that Batman exist in his own little world, not connected to a bigger universe. That's my main critique of superhero media now is that like, oh, it always has to be part of a bigger universe, and we can't just have solo superhero movies anymore. And I get why, but I like the idea that the Batman universe is simply just its own little thing. And I think we can live with just two Batmans. However, it will be a long time before we see Brave and Bold. Batman Part 2 got delayed to 2027, and Andy Muschietti, who is directing Brave and Bold, has said that because of that, he is going to delay Brave and Bold, so he can not only so they don't come out around the same time, which I understand, but 2027, man. When are we going to see Brave and Bold? I always pictured a 2028 release for Brave and Bold. Chances are we're going to see it in like 2029 or 2030. And we're not starved of Batman content. I know. We can wait a good bit to let other heroes shine. I mean, I have like a whole shelf under here of just Batman comics I can look at. We're fine. We're starved on Robin content, though. And we ain't even gonna get that fucking Robin and that Dick and Jason movie until 2028. So, yeah. In a recent article that came out, Reeves did say that he will see how things for the Batman are if he can join the DCU. And Gunn said that he considered it, but Andy said no. Brave and Bold will be its own thing. And I just hope we get a new Batman for Brave and Bold. Like, give us more live action Batman. That's all. So, let's talk about the final episode here, which I think is the weakest episode because it doesn't really feel like a final episode. there's still more to do. It feels like there's still more to do before we go into a season two. I loved Nina's backstory though. She has she was born with her lungs outside of her body, and her dad really wanted to keep her alive. I really liked that dynamic, and her turning into this fish girl and being bullied in high school because of her being a fish and she running away, but then her dad gets shot. I think it's tragic. And the bride hypes her up. It's like, you can do this. You know, you're our freak. You're our monster. You know, you are something better. And then she just fucking dies instantly. And it's tragic because, wow, that's just. She died for nothing. But I think where the episode really falls apart in the end was trying to combine Nina's backstory into the final episode. I feel like we should have finished Nina's backstory first, and then have the final episode be about them trying to kill the princess. Because again, Cersei disappears, Clayface slightly disappears, Rick is still in the hospital. We still have a few things that I know season 2 will solve, but who knows how long that'll take. Either way, the twist, I guess you could say it, of the bride calling out the princess because she is actually evil. Wow, that came out of fucking nowhere. Because then it's like, yeah, she gets shot in the head because part of it was the bride seeking revenge for Nina, and that I do understand. It's like, yeah, but yeah, the show ends with the bride meeting her new team, which has Nosferatu, this mummy I forgot the name of. GI Robot returns, bigger and better. And then all the others return, and King Shark, he's back. He's voiced by Batman from Brave and Bold, which I just realized is very clever. I think he also was voiced by Batman in Harley Quinn, right? It's not Stallone. I'm excited to see King Shark return, but overall, I just don't have too. Oh my God, we're reaching 30 minutes. I just don't have too much else to say about Creature Commandos. It's a mighty fine show. It's just Gunn's most flawed show, if you ask me. His weakest project, his weakest DC, and his weakest comic book endeavor. But nothing was bad. You know, nothing. I just wanted a bit more from it. I'm excited for the future of DC, though. We get some great promises from this show, and we are gonna get a universe that can compete with Marvel's universe. Which, I mean, right now it's not really hard to do. A little side rant there. Seth Rollins apparently had all of his scenes cut. Meanwhile, Sabra, one of the most controversial fucking characters in that movie, still in it. So, is she really that important to the plot? Is she really so important to the story that you can't cut her out, despite the fact that for years of reshoots you've known about the controversy between her about her? Whatever. That's fucking Captain America: Brave New World next month. I'm excited for Superman. I trust Gunn, and until then, cheers to the Tin Man.